Hi, my name is Anna Doherty. A lot of you might know me as Brian Doherty's wife. Brian is the youth minister at Greenwood Park Church of Christ, and so I'm his wife. We have a daughter, Lila, and a dog named Duke. Um, I am grateful for the opportunity to be talking to you today, and I'm just so thankful for everyone that's spoken and done these little devotionals because there's just so much wisdom that I have gained from those videos, and I thank you all for sharing. And um, Today, I just want to talk to you about something that's been on my heart ever since we've been in quarantine, and that's just the idea of disappointments. And I think it's safe to say that we all want to live a comfortable life. We want things to kind of go our way and for us to be able to have a sense of control in our lives. And so I know that there's been a lot of disappointments due to COVID-19. And there's so many things that I could go into. I mean, I'm just thinking about our seniors in the youth group and all seniors in high school. And um, there's just so many fun things and celebrations that come through, throughout that senior year and the fact that they haven't been able to do that. And I know it's just really heartbreaking for those kids and their parents. And I think about people who are getting married and think about people who are having babies. And there's a lot of exciting things that it's just different because of quarantine. And so my heart goes out to all of you that are going through disappointments. I know this is silly, but we had a trip planned for spring break that had to be canceled, and it's just disappointing. And there's just things that have happened, plans that have had to be changed. It's just really disappointing. And so I just want to talk to you for a little bit about that. I have a book that I have referred back to a lot. It's called "It's Not Supposed to Be This Way." And so I really have enjoyed this book. If you know me at all, I've probably talked to you about this book. But she talks about disappointments throughout this book. And I want to read a quick quote from the book. It says, "We may be afraid of all the disappointments of this broken world, but God isn't afraid. He's aware, so very aware of his ultimate plans and purposes. It isn't to keep us from getting shattered, it's to keep our souls connected, so deeply connected to himself. And let's be honest, if we weren't ever disappointed, we'd settle for the shallow pleasures of this world rather than addressing the spiritual desperation of our souls." And I just think that's so true. We want things to go well, we want things to be comfortable, we don't want to have disappointments. But a lot of times it's those disappointments that draw us back to God and our need for Him. And so I just ask you, how can the disappointments from COVID-19 bring us closer to God? In James, we read about disappointments, and it says in James chapter 1 that we should consider it pure joy when we go through trials. And that's so hard for us because we're like, now come on, you bless those who love you. We shouldn't be having to go through hard times. Um, but he says, actually, it's a blessing for us to go through hard times and that we should consider it a joyful thing to get to go through. But I'm going to read later on in James chapter 4, starting in verse 13. I think that this really applies to us right now, being in quarantine and our plans changing and having disappointments. So, James chapter 4, verse 13. "Now listen, you who say, 'Today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money.' Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, 'If it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that.' As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them." Doesn't this really apply to us right now? Um, we've made plans and we've had ideas of how this year is going to go, and it's not gone the way that we thought it would. And so I think that this is really important for us to remember that um, if it's the Lord's will, then we will do this and that and have these plans and go on these trips and whatever. If it is God's will. And I think that we should keep that in mind. We don't know when this is going to end. There's a lot of unknowns. And so it's a time for us to draw close to Him and say, "What is it that you have for my life? What is your will for me to do next? Or what is your will for me to do right now while I'm home?" And I think that through these disappointments, we have a lot of opportunities to grow closer to God. And so I encourage you to pray, to dig in, and find those ways that you can grow closer to Him. So thank you for listening, and I'm praying for you all